or can trade that.
Hello there, everybody. So, what? Hold on. I'll get rid of this Discord screen. Right, so I'm going to be here by myself today, and I'm going to be bringing you a game between Storm Rage and Edelweiss of Swagoi. And let me just say, they have some very interesting decks. You are all in for a treat if you have, for some reason, got the free time to be able to be watching a game of Hearthstone at what I assume for most of you is 2 in the afternoon, 1 in the afternoon, maybe even 11 in the morning. Who knows? But what we have for you is a quest off. That is right. Both these players have elected, and I have a feeling that they have elected to do this individually rather than agreeing beforehand, but they have got 3 different quest decks each. So Edelweiss has got, I believe, a quest hunter, a quest paladin, and a quest priest, so that's going to be an interesting, possibly long grind. While in the other corner, Storm Rage has got a quest mage, bit of a throwback there, a quest warlock, and a quest paladin of his own, so we could possibly have a Galvadon mirror. And I've got to be perfectly honest, I don't know how those go. So we shall see. It's going to be a interesting one. With all that said and done, there's not much analysis I can do beforehand of quest mirrors. So, all that, I think we are going to I'm going to let the players know to get started, and we're going to get right into it. For those of you who are not familiar with the rules of UHL, the way it works is we work in 3-week cycling periods, and in that time, each player brings 3 classes per week, and the rule is they must use all 9 classes through that 3-week period, and there are no bans in any of the games. So if you bring a deck, you have to win with it. And the players have got started. We are going to get right into it. And we are going to have Mr. Storm Rage on the bottom of your screen, and Ms. Edelweiss is going to be on the top. And we'll just see what they've decided to go in with first. So, getting right into the game. And Storm Rage has just started off with his quest mage, while Edelweiss has a quest hunter, and well, there are a couple of interesting things we can see in both these players' opening hands. one of the most obvious things that we can see is Stormrage has a lovely golden quest, while Edelweiss has a Hemet Jungle Hunter. The idea being, I can only assume, I'm not overly familiar with Quest Hunter, I've got to be perfectly honest with you, but I believe the idea is you complete the quest, you Hemet to remove all the now redundant rubbish cards from your deck, and you just play Hemet to make sure that your deck is just good cards and 1 mana 3/2s that draw a card, thus increasing the power level of your deck by quite a lot. Obviously both players electing to play a quest on one, and I believe it's just going to be a pretty mad scramble for the players to complete their quest. And Stormrage is going to be Luna's Pocket Galaxy off the Shimmering Tempest is an interesting one. It is quite expensive, but it could have a pretty interesting effect on any Sorcerer's Apprentices or even Archmage Antonidas, which is in this deck, because this is still kind of relying on the Exodia combo. It does have Leyline Manipulators in the deck as well as a kind of secondary win condition, so the quest is not the only way. So this is kind of like double Exodia Mage. But Edelweiss is getting through this quest very quickly. So we can see 2 out of 7 have been played, and there are a further 4 1-drops in hand. So with the drawing of 1 more 1-drop, Edelweiss is going to be able to complete this quest. And Stormrage, in the meantime, is going to just play everything in his hand as quickly as humanly possible. So a lovely feature of the quest is it will show you all the cards which are valid for completing the quest in your hand. And we can see Stormrage does have technically enough spells in his hand to complete the quest, but they are quite expensive, especially Luna's Pocket Galaxy, which has decided to show up twice. But Edelweiss with Unleash the Hounds is going to make sure that Luna's Pocket Galaxy isn't going to be able to go off with this Arcane Artificer on the board, giving Stormrage a nice 7 armor. But the Blizzard is still going to make pretty nice work of this board, I do believe. Bye-bye, little Arcane Artificer. You'll be missed. Just have a little bit of volume. But conveniently for Stormrage, he managed to get double Simulacrum off the 2 upgraded Spellstones, which means that he can, while completing the quest, put 3 Sorcerer's Apprentices in his hand. Now, of course, this being Daniel Stormrage Sheldon we are talking about, he had the option of going for potentially an Explosive Runes to kind of maybe try and see some tempo back, or the Research Project to draw some cards, as he is playing a combo deck, but no. The option of Deck of Wonders was just far too great for this man to pass up. And Edelweiss is just going to start trading off her own stuff, so... Oh, is the Hemet actually going to come down? That's... Well, if the Hemet does come down this turn, then I was wrong about the purpose of Hemet in the deck, and that seems like it would be a terrible idea, given that she has not played... that would delete, or that would burn every 1-drop remaining in her deck without the quest completed, so doesn't surprise me that that was not the chosen line there. So Stormrage, he does have the option of playing one of these Pocket Galaxies on this turn. He does also have the option of playing the Deck of Wonders, but part of me does feel like he should probably address the rhino-shaped elephant in the room. So you can see the kind of conflict going on in Storm Rage's mind here. He can, of course, take a couple of meme approaches, and maybe he's just feeling that the Deck of Wonders is what's going to win him this game. I can't say I wholly agree with that sentiment, but it is what it is. And yep, Edelweiss with the Firefly and the accompanying Flame Elemental off the top there is going to free up Hemet to be played, and now this is looking pretty dicey for Storm Rage. Who is going to have to do some pretty interesting things to address this scenario he finds himself in, and that Rhino is going to be really... I forgot to mention, by the way, there is an Emerus in this Quest Hunter. But this Queen Carnassa, not only is it going to put a multitude of 1-mana 3/2s which draw a card into the deck, because of the Tundra Rhino on the board, it's an 8/8 with charge for 5 mana. So we're going to see Edelweiss push a lot of damage to Storm Rage's face here, and he's going to have to go for it, I do believe, on this turn. Maybe the Scroll of Wonders will do something magical. It does do something. We can't dispute that. But I'm not sure that there is an avenue of play for Storm Rage here to actually win this game. There is the Antonidas. Would have been great if that had costed 1, but no. The quest has been completed, but with the 1 mana, I believe for Storm Rage to still be in this, that needed to not be a beast of any kind. But with the 1 mana 3/2 off the top, pulling into another 1 mana 3/2, both of these have charge. They're just going to keep going. But this is going to be game 1 for Edelweiss. Just being a little bit too aggressive for Daniel's very slow Exodia quest mage there. So that is going to be 1-0 to Edelweiss, and this is the 4th match of UHL, with a couple more happening later on today. So we would normally have a pause here for the two casters to stop and kind of analyze what happened there, but for one thing, I'm by myself, and the other, I don't really know what to say about that game. It was a bit of a silly one. So, with all that said and done, I think we're going to get right onto the next one. Now, with Edelweiss's Hunter out of the way, she has a Quest Paladin and a Quest Priest. A Quest Togwaggle Priest, now that I am looking at the decks. So, that is a thing. But we're going to see Quest Warlock up against Quest Paladin. Anyone who has any idea who is favoured in this matchup, please let me know. Storm Rage, it looks like he's going to go for a very early quest completion with the Cataclysm. I believe just playing the quest on 1 and playing Cataclysm on 4 will be a turn 4 quest completion. And with the Exodia Paladin, very unlikely to put up any pressure in the time before that. Let's see what happens. Now. Ooh. Stormrage has, unfortunately for the Cataclysm plan, already drawn into several of his actual threats in the deck. I'm talking about the Cruel Dynamancers as well as the Lakari Falham, which is the largest of the discard demon things. So you might be reconsidering the Cataclysm plan there, but with the tap on turn 2 and the draw on the following turn, he will have 6 other cards in his hand. So, yep, here we go. Quest completed. Turn 5, we are going to have a nether portal on the board. Edelweiss throwing out the well played because turn 4 quest completion for a warlock. Why the hell not? So now Edelweiss needs to consider what to do here. Just gonna go for the Potion of Heroism to draw a card because hand is looking a little bit sparse right now. There is a Sound the Bells, which is gonna be pretty useful, but Stormrage has got his quest online, and we do see a Void Lord, which is gonna be very useful when it comes to shutting down Galvadon when it does eventually come out. But the Spikeridge Steed off the top is going to put paid to any notion Stormrage has of pushing damage with these minions, and this is not a hand you want to be playing Succubus with. Probably the 2 cards that Stormrage would least like to discard in the entire deck in Voidlord and Bloodreaver Gul'dan. So, overly not ideal. And just having a look at the deck list to see what kind of board clears are available to Stormrage once the Galvadon comes down. There is a copy of Lord Godfrey, and there are 2 copies of Defile and Hellfire each, as well as a Deathwing. But he is facing down just kind of the Smork plan from Edelweiss with the Valanir, and we're going to see some Sound the Bells action, most likely, which is going to allow the Stegodon alongside the Valanir to just keep slamming Stormrage in the face. Because there are a whole 2 turns until that Voidlord can come down. And Stormrage is feeling the pressure so much that he even elects not to tap. Ooh, Nelly. And why is actually choosing to trade now? She appears to have diverted a little bit from the Smork plan that she seemed to have going on. This is just to set up a even smorkier plan. So Edelweiss choosing to make the trades there to get some value out of Sunkeeper Tarim while it was still possible, as there was nothing on the board, because this board is soon going to be overrun with pesky level 3/2 imps, and as it stands, this is just lethal that Stormrage is phasing down. With no board clear available, can't tap into anything. If he taps into Hellfire, he will only remove 3 attack from the board, which will be the 3 damage he does to himself with Hellfire. So, as it stands, there are no outs for Stormrage here. This Sound the Bells is just going to be lethal, and just to make sure, the second Sound the Bells comes off the top. And just like that, it's going to be 2-0 to Edelweiss. And as it stands, Stormrage is just being out-quested. Didn't help that he was playing Quest Warlock, which I think we have all kind of summarily agreed is the worst of the quests. Oh dearie me. So, it's up to Stormrage with his Exodia Mage, Quest Paladin, and Quest Warlock to take down this Quest Togwaggle Benedictus priest monster that Edelweiss has here. I do not know what the game plan with this deck is. Oh, there is a Temporis in this deck as well, because why not? I am looking forward to seeing just exactly what the game plan is with this priest. And I'm sure all of you are as well. Let the players know that they can just get right back into it. Right turn, he... Whoops. I accidentally unmuted the stream pre-delay there, which is why you just got a small glimpse of my voice from 10 minutes ago. I hope you enjoyed. And Stormrage has opted to go for his Quest Mage up first, and I believe that this is the correct call against the Priest. The Priest is very slow, and having this kind of guaranteed OTK is going to be pretty strong. So Stormrage actually opting to keep Archmage and Tinnitus in his opening hand, unless I was very much mistaken and the Spectator mode bugged out, but that's a pretty bold keep, as it were. I mean, why not? The Shimmering Tempest is going to be a nice little turn 2 play, allowing Stormrage to start getting the quest going. And Arcane Intellect is going to just allow him to cycle through his deck. And I believe that what both these players are going to be doing for quite some time is just playing the card draw game. Unexpected Results is honestly not that bad in this situation. Both players will just be looking for any kind of way to generate some sort of board impact while they're drawing as many cards as they humanly can. So 4 mana summon 2/2 drops is about equivalent to anything that Edelweiss is going to be doing at this point. I believe Stormrage does not get offered a Deck of Wonders this time, but could go for a Dragon's Fury, which would be good to clear up all of these moderately annoying little 2-drops. Or could just go for a Frost Nova to couple with the Doomsayer in his hand already. But as this kind of... I think he might have already been gearing up to go for a Doomsayer, so the Frost Nova probably loses a bit of impact there. You might just go for the Dragon's Fury. The deck is full of pretty bad targets for the Dragon's Fury, but why the hell not? And so he does opt for the Frost Nova. I believe the reason for that is Edelweiss has to be the aggressor in this matchup. She has to play for... Because with kind of Stormrage's guaranteed OTK, like, whether you are at 40 health, 30 health, 1 health, it doesn't matter against an Exodia Mage, because they will just kill you anyway. So Edelweiss's quest reward is almost kind of defunct. Like, Edelweiss, the quest reward for the Priest in this matchup is basically just a 5 mana 8/8, which could hopefully hit Stormrage in the face a whole bunch. And I'm quite surprised Stormrage elected to not play the Unexpected Results there. Playing like a couple minions onto an empty board to just challenge anything that Edelweiss might do, like this Twilight's Call. It's pretty appealing to me. But we shall see what the Man has in store for us all. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that this should be a pretty solid victory for Stormrage, but the real big question is going to be the Quest Paladin against this Priest deck. Because I have a strong feeling that Galvadon is really bad against Psychic Scream. We just saw it off the Shadow Visions there, so we know it is in the deck. and your big crest reward being kind of obliterated at the first opportunity is not ideal for Quest Paladin, so we shall see. Maybe the possible Psychic Scream bug will come into play, and Storm Rage will just be able to play 4 Galvadons in a row until every Psychic Scream is eliminated, but maybe not. Edelweiss is going to play Hemet, which is going to mean Archbishop Benedictus is going to be drawn very soon. Which means that I believe the plan is to just steal the combo. And with that in mind, Storm Rage's decision to keep Archmage Antonidas actually looks like a work of genius, which is bizarre, considering we are talking about Storm Rage in this situation. So, well done. So, Storm Rage has completed 2 ticks of the quest so far, and I do believe that he just balls that up spectacularly. Yes, for anyone who does not know how Simulacrum works, as Storm Rage has just demonstrated, he does not. Simulacrum, if it copies the cheapest minion in your hand. If there is a clash between, say, 2-cost minions, like a Sorcerer's Apprentice and a Shimmering Tempest, for example, just going to pick those 2 cards out of the air at random, it will pick one of them just off at random, essentially. So Storm Rage, by not playing the Shimmering Tempest first, lost a 50-50, so now needs to rely purely on the Exodia plan to complete the quest, which is still very doable. Quest Mage can still just do just fine without the Simulacrum into later manipulators, etc, etc, etc. And Edelweiss, it certainly appears that she is just going to go on the offensive here and start pinging away at Storm Rage's face, kind of acknowledging that, oh no, I think it's kind of an inbuilt mechanism in us all that if you see a scavenging hyena, you kill it. And the Leyline Manipulator does reduce the cost of Hemet, but playing Hemet in this situation would destroy the remaining Sorcerer's Apprentice, the remaining Primordial Glyph, the Acolyte Pains, the Arcane Intellects, the Frost Novas. So probably don't want to be doing that. Which means that Storm Rage is probably just going to have to Hero Power Edelweiss's face and pass. Which isn't the best feeling in the world, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Now, I am intrigued by the Togwaggle Azalina combination in Priest, because unlike in Druid, which has both Twig and Dream Petal Florist to enable combos to happen in one go, at least in Standard, of course in Wild there is Aviana Coon, these 2 cards will need to be played separately, and that seems pretty bizarre to me. So now Edelweiss is out of cards. Oh, the Temporis is to allow the Togwaggle and Azalina to be played. Oh my god. Well, I don't know. The issue, of course, with Temporis is it essentially allows your opponent to complete their quest without completing their quest. So yeah, I don't think we're going to see Temporis played in this particular matchup. Try though Edelweiss might by Okay. Storm Rage is doing something? No. Don't play the Archmage. I mean, I guess this is actually fine, playing the Archmage. Edelweiss has no answer to this. But on the flip side, Storm Rage does not have 4 apprentices to follow this up on the following turn, unless he draws the second Mortal Inflection off the top. So this is, I believe, for Storm Rage, a risk that does not need to be taken. He's going to win this game in the long run anyway. Why take a huge risk, which may just be punished if he doesn't draw something useful off the top? So yes, he is going to fill his hand with fireballs. They are not going to cost 0. Oh, he's going to fill his hand with fireballs, and then no, he can play the Leyline Manipulator to make them cost 0. But this is, I suppose, going to end up with a victory nonetheless. He's oh no, wait, no, of course. The fireballs generated by Archmage Antonidas are going to allow the quest to be completed. So Storm Rage had a plan. He is clearly a far more experienced quest mage player than I am. And like I said at the start, this is just going to be too much for a quest priest to be able to deal with. And Storm Rage is going to put a foot in the door of this series and come back 2-1. So he has his quest warlock and his quest paladin to try and beat up on this quest Benedictus Togwaggle Temporis priest. Not a series of words I ever envisioned myself saying, but here we are. So that is the win for the mage. Now, like I said, I believe the Paladin is going to have a very difficult time against this priest in particular, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Storm Rage continue along with the Quest Warlock, give that another run out, because the Imps may be able to do something against... Nope. Storm Rage is going with the Paladin. And I believe that Edelweiss doesn't even need to worry about the quest in this matchup. Her win condition may just be Psychic Scream. Both players, of course, are going to play the quest on 1. No surprises there. And now Edelweiss is going to just say, yeah, let's go. Storm Rage is going to be able to answer this turn to Northshire Cleric with a Wild Pyromancer, and with no Power Wedge Shield in Edelweiss's hand, it's actually going to do a fabulous job of just contesting this Pyromancer. The Dead Ringer is going to be able to finish off the Pyro, but losing that card draw early on is a pretty big deal. I think Storm Rage is going to be very happy with how that interaction went, but he's not going to be overly thrilled to see the second Northshire Cleric come out, although he is going to be able to answer this very cleanly with either the Blessing of Kings or the True Silver Champion. Actually electing to even ignore the Northshire Cleric. Now that is a bold strategy. And Edelweiss, in return, is just going to ignore this 5-5 on the board. And now things are going to keep going for Storm Rage. Ooh. Now this Linessa Sunsor is looking like it's going to be very powerful indeed. And it may be able to just come out on curve. Edelweiss, in the meantime, has the Twilight's Call to be able to ramp up the quest completion very nicely, as well as the Divine Hymn to draw 2 cards, as well as heal the face. So while there is a 5/5 on the board, there is not much threat of actually dying. And Edelweiss does acknowledge this by just... oof. And now the temptation for Stormrage to just completely go for it. The quest is going to be completed on this turn. And this is, I believe, the fastest I've ever seen a quest paladin complete their quest. So, there is an option for Stormrage now. He could play Lunessa Sunsow on the following turn, bait out any kind of Psychic Scream that might be lurking in Edelweiss's hand, as we can see that there is one there. And then, if the Psychic Scream comes out, there will be the opportunity to just Galvadon on up to an empty board on the following turn. Of course, he may just choose to Galvadon here, and this is also, I guess, fine. I imagine we're going to see a Stealth be picked. We're going to see Stealth and we're going to see aggressive options. There's an aggressive option. There's a Wind Fury, another aggressive option. There's the Stealth. There's the Divine Shield. And there's the +1/+1. So this is a very intimidating board. There is an 8/9 and a 9/6 with Wind Fury, and Divine Shield, and Stealth. Stormrage is even going to throw down this Protector, although I don't really see any need for the Righteous Protector. You know that if there's a Psychic Scream, it will get played. So ultimately, it doesn't really achieve that much. And there it goes. That 8/7 has just been demoted to a 1/1. Having a look at Edelweiss's quest completion, she was on 5 out of 7 with a Blood Mage Thalnos and a Plated Beetle in hand, but not the mana to play that alongside Alana. And there is also not the mana to play this Twilight's Call alongside Alana either, so it's just going to be some death rattles for this turn, as well as a very likely heal. Having taken the Spirit Lash, he chooses to keep the Blood Mage Thalnos back, because the Thalnos Spirit Lash combo is going to be a nice little bit of burst healing, just in case anything too nasty happens. And Stormrage elects to give his Divine Shielded minion Divine Shield. Genius, I say. But now the plan for Stormrage gets a little bit more awkward. Because with Alana in hand, his early plan to push damage is looking a little less consistent now. But he is still going to push face. And unfortunately for him, this Lunessa is going to be answered quite swiftly by Shadow Reaper Anduin, which is lurking in Edelweiss's hand. So this damage pushes the face. It is going to push Edelweiss down to 10, but the Shadow Reaper Anduin is going to push it back up to 15. There may even be a heal of some kind, although there is also the option for the ping to break the Divine Shield of this Annoya module and allow for a full board clear on Stormrage. So, Stormrage is kind of back to square one, essentially. Galvadon is buried in the deck somewhere, and Lunessa has been dealt with. Lunessa being the kind of tertiary threat in this deck. So what Stormrage really needs is to draw this Galvadon ASAP. And is going to make a 7/12 with Divine Shield. Whew. Edelweiss is going to have to play Alana here without the Zola the Gorgon. Wait, I need to actually double check whether Zola the Gorgon is even in this deck. It is not! So this is a 1 Alana deck. Stormrage does have the option to Equality Consecrate here, to push some more damage, maybe equip a True Silver Champion alongside it, and it looks like that is what he's going to go for. So now, any damage done by Stormrage through the course of this game has much more of a sense of permanence. And Edelweiss now needs to consider what her win condition is. She could go for Archbishop Benedictus because I think she should be aware that Galvadon's still in the deck, and if she plays Benedictus, she will get a Galvadon of her own, and then playing Hemet Jungle Hunter will allow her to draw closer to that Galvadon. So Stormrage could be in a position where he is facing down his own Galvadon, as it were. He does have the 2 copies of Shrink Ray to be able to answer that very easily, but it's a pretty amusing situation to find himself in. And Edelweiss is just going to start digging. Now, if you're wondering how this Silver Hand recruit found its way into Stormrage's hand, then you may recognize it as it previously being, I believe, a 9/8, which was hitting Edelweiss in the face. How the mighty have fallen. Stormrage is electing to use a copy of Shrink Ray there, with a quality already in hand. Kind of thinks that, yep, I may as well go for this now. It'll be interesting to see whether he throws out this weapon swing, or if he decides that the weapon could be used to greater effect later on in the game. And the Rotten Apple Bomb is going to at least eat up a couple of pings, but I believe that's all it's really going to do here. As Edelweiss is going to throw out the Hemet Jungle Hunter, move their deck down to 7 cards in the process. Oh, and Stormrage needs to not throw out this Shrink Ray. That was a huge mistake by Stormrage, because now, if a Galvadon comes out, which it will, we know it will, because there are 6 cards in Edelweiss's deck. And Edelweiss gets offered Divine Shield on any one of those options. Stormrage is going to be struggling, essentially, unless he manages to go Equality Pyromancer Consecration, and that's a fairly long-winded combination of cards. He does have 2 out of 3 of those cards in his deck, but Edelweiss is going to be cycling furiously towards Galvadon. Gets a Spikeridge Steed and a Blessing of Kings in the process, so Edelweiss is really going to be looking to put up forward some damage, but Galvadon comes forward, and we're going to see exactly what comes up here. Stealth, Wind Fury, +1/+1, +1/+1, and Taunt, because that's the only option that Stormrage does not already have. And Edelweiss gets her own Galvadon off the top. Now, what does Edelweiss decide to go for here? She needs to deal with this Galvadon, or at least put something in the way of this Galvadon. And it looks like she's considering Crystal Smith Kangor, the new Paladin Legendary, alongside Spikeridge Steed, because that is going to put a lot of damage of health in the way of this Galvadon. And then she's going to be able to put her own Galvadon down behind it on the following turn. Ooh. Yeah, now so, for those who don't know, Desperate Stand, it will return Galvadon into play without all of the buffs that Stormrage has just acquired. So one Desperate Stand activates, it will be in the form of a 5/5, as it were. So we do see two very beefy minions facing each other down here. We've got a kind of stalemate. But in this stalemate, you do have to favour Edelweiss. She has considerably more resources available to her. And when her deck does run out, she's going to be able to Temporis. I think she was going to Temporis next turn, and then on the following turn, Togwaggle, then take an extra turn, and Azalina. But before she plays Temporis, she of course needs to deal with this Galvadon, as it's looking pretty menacing. I think she can quite happily just play out the Galvadon of her own here, as the second ping will allow the Crystalsmith Kangor to trade into it. But she's going to have to pick these 5 options quite rapidly. Attack, stealth, can't be targeted, plus health, and I'm not sure if she made it in time, poisonous. She did not make the ping in time, so this Galvadon can go forwards. And I do think, Stormrage needs to attack with this Galvadon and the Silverhand Recruit first. Then he needs to Equality Consecrate, because then it will allow him to push an extra 7 damage to face. If he Equality Consecrates first, then he will just have to push the Galvadon into the 2/6, which comes out of the Spikeridge Steed, and I don't think he's going to be after that. So let's see if he sees the line here, because he is hovering over this equality, and doing so would be a pretty huge mistake on his part. Come on, Daniel. I believe in you. Order. And if we don't get it, let's see some order lull in the chat. Daniel's thinking long and hard about this, and he has not gone for the correct line. He's missing out on 7 to face with this play, and I don't think he's... No. Daniel.
Almost out of cards.
So we are just going to see Temporis come down here, as there is not really much threat available to Stormrage. He does have 2 Spikeridge Steeds as well as a Blessing of Kings, which are going to allow him to do something, but the chance of him being able to do 37 damage across 2 turns with just those tools is very unlikely, and the hero power is going to take care of this 1 health Galvadon pretty easily. Stormrage just seeing the Temporis and going, what the hell is going on here? Crystalsmith Kangor is the least threatening minion in his deck. Like, he's going all in here, and I don't think he knows what exactly is about to happen, as often is the case when you see a Temporis. You just kind of think, what's going on here? The Lay on Hands is probably the best draw for Stormrage in this position, as it does allow him to get some cards back from his deck. So this Togwaggle is going to be a little bit less devastating. And crucially gets some useful cards in the Blessing of Kings and the Spikeridge Steed. So we're going to see a ping Togwaggle, and then next turn we're going to see a ping Azalina. Because what is Hearthstone, right guys? What is Hearthstone?
Almost out of cards. By the holy light.
And this is really what UHL is all about. Temporous Toggle Azalina. The most pure form of Hearthstone, I think. We can all agree on that. But this Azalina is going to... No! Edelweiss feels that with just one card left in the deck, she doesn't actually need to play the Azalina to steal the King's Ransom, because this Togwaggle is going to draw the remaining card in the deck anyway, so the King's Ransom is now completely useless, and Edelweiss now has 2 Spikeridge Steeds, a Blessing of Kings, and Stormrage is going to put in one last push with this Norcia Cleric. It is a very big cleric, but it's just not going to be enough, considering the 2 Spikeridge Steeds available to you, as well as the far superior hero power. This is going to go down as a 3-1 victory to Edelweiss in the Battle of the Quests. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Daniel... He's going to throw out the ransom here, play this one out to the end. But there is no hope anymore. Maybe lay on hands for the BM, potentially, but probably unlikely.
Darkness speaks to me.
Yep, things are looking bleak. That's the biggest Togwaggle I believe I have ever seen. Edelweiss is going to throw down the Azalina just to make sure that, you know, just kind of assert dominance. Get rid of her entire remaining hand. And that is going to be a 3-1 victory to Edelweiss. And I believe you all saw on the screen there that Stormrage does need to pee before the post-match interview, so I'm just going to sort that out for a second, and we'll get them both here in double quick time. So, let's see if we have everyone here.
Hello.
Oh, hello, Daniel. Wow, you are very, very loud.
I'm sorry. I can.
No,
I
no.
can be. I can whisper. Do you want me to whisper?
Can you whisper shout?
I can whisper scream. I'm good at that.
Excellent. So I think we're just waiting on Edelweiss to show up. So that was an interesting game of Hearthstone. Hello. Congrats on your victory in the dumbest.
Thank you.
That was the dumbest game of Hearthstone I think I've ever casted. So great job to both of you.
Glad you enjoyed it.
I think you meant to say the greatest game of Hearthstone you've ever casted.
It can be both. It can be both. I think we can all agree that it can be both dumb and fantastic.
That's fair.
So I take it you both agreed beforehand to play all quest lineups, right?
Yeah, I think Edelweiss and I both really wanted to start off with something fun, and so I just proposed the idea of all quests, but no warrior or rogue quests because they are at least partially viable, whereas I think all of the decks that we played were not in any way viable.
Yeah, there were quite a few things about some of your decks that I just kind of figured out as I went along, particularly that priest. Like, throughout the games we saw the priest, I was like, Temporis is in this deck as well? And then it wasn't until towards the end of the last game I was like, oh, Temporis is to let the Toggle combo be a thing.
Yeah, the thought was like, okay, so if I Temporis, then I can Tog Azalina after like playing Hemet and getting rid of the deck. But like in certain matchups, you might not necessarily want to do this.
Like the mage.
So I had the Benedictus as a backup. Yeah. The mage, I don't think my priest could ever possibly beat. Like,
yeah, no.
It's just not gonna happen.
I mean, you could have played Temporis to just complete the quest for them.
I would have appreciated that. That would have been really nice.
Yeah.
My hope with the mage was just like, well, all right, maybe he won't have drawn everything yet, because like you still have had a good number of cards left in your deck, but it just wasn't happening.
No, that I think that one was like just not really winnable for you, but I think the Paladin versus the Priest was equally unwinnable for Storm Rage. Like,
I will say, from my end, I thought I lost the Priest versus Mage matchup because I was positive I was playing against a Mechathune deck. And I was like, she's got 5 cards left, it's all Death Rattle. Shit, I have to play Antonidas on an empty board and just pray because I calculated it out and I was like, she has 5 cards in hand. One is Amora, so if I play Antonidas this turn, then I can Fireball combo and complete my quest next turn if she doesn't remove it. So I thought I was dead in that matchup. I was sweating.
Yeah, I actually got, like, I thought the Antonidas play was like a unnecessary risk almost, but it does, I didn't realize, and it just didn't occur to me that you could complete the quest with fireballs from Antonidas because I haven't encountered the mage quest in so long. I've completely forgotten how it works. But yeah, it makes sense that if you thought that's what the situation was. I didn't realize you were considering Mechathune. You should have just known that it was Togwaggle instead.
I'm very sorry.
It was obviously Togwaggle Priest.
I did not expect
I did have
Priest.
I did have an initial draft that was Mechathune, and then I was like, nah, that's a real deck. We can't do that.
Yeah, like that's like almost tier 3. God. We're playing tier 5 or lower here.
Yes, absolutely.
I've got to say So why did you queue the Paladin game for instead of the Warlock? I thought the Warlock had a much better chance of maybe actually winning a game.
Because again, I still thought I was going against a Mechathune.
Ah.
And so in my mind, I went, what is the most potential? Because as far as removal, Edelweiss had, she had 2 Psychic Screams and Shadow Reaper Anduin. So if I got my Galvadon on turn 6, I still thought I had a chance to win by just putting out an immense amount of pressure. Whereas with Warlock, I was like, well, I don't really have anything that has a lot of pressure in that deck. it just kind of survives for an acceptable time. So had I known that it was Togwaggle Azalina Temporis Priest, should have known that.
Look, it was Togwaggle Azalina Temporis Benedictus Priest.
I'm very sorry. Please forgive me.
Gotta classify this stuff properly.
It was the great mind game, because saving the priest for last. I know you'll cue the mage into it, because how the hell does a quest priest ever beat mage, like Exodia mage? And by not playing any of the combo pieces that game, it was kind of tricking you into thinking that was Mecha.
It was a pretty smart heads-up play.
Was it intentional? Was that the idea? Or were you just
Once I figured I was probably going to lose, I was like, okay, I can't play any of these cards.
Yeah. I mean, playing them would have also, directly contributed to actually losing you the game for several of them. So, not playing them did also make sense from that perspective.
Actually, one thing I could have done that would have been a good play, it just didn't occur to me at the time. Or maybe I didn't have the Tog in hand, but I feel like I had the Tog early on. The turn that he had double Shivering Tempest on board and a full hand, 9 cards in hand, if I had killed them both and just played Togwaggle, he wouldn't have gotten the ransom. And so if any of the combo was still left in the deck.
That would have been clever. So, there's a couple of Daniel moments that I want to talk about.
We need to talk about all of these. But go ahead.
So, Daniel, walk me through how the card Simulacrum works.
Okay, so it's a mage card. You may be or may not be familiar with it. What it does is it copies the lowest cost minion in your hand. It's really great when you have a Sorcerer's Apprentice in your hand and you want to make copies of it. It's really bad when you've played around your little 1-cost minion the entire game and you play it and you finally go, yes, I can release my Simulacrum. And then you forget that you have a Shimmering Tempest also in your hand.
Which you had just drawn.
I did.
So it should have been, fresh in your mind. Yeah, of course, Simulacrum, when it has a tied cost, just does it randomly. And the other one was the other moment where I was just like, no, Daniel, no, you did miss 7 damage in the Paladin game.
What's 7 damage?
When you had the Wind Fury Galvadon, you had the 7/5 and the 1/1 against the 3/8 with the Death Rattle. If you'd done the original attack with the 7 and put the 1 in, make the 2/6 come onto board, then you Equality Consecrate.
Equality Consecrate, yeah. I was trying to math it out. I was like, I'm sure there's a way to get around it, but I just could not get it.
Alas. I don't think it would have made the greatest deal of difference, but it would have made Aloysius' life a teensy bit more difficult.
Yeah, I did keep Scream in the opener for that game.
Yeah, that's what I was...
Figured you would.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of just talking about before. I was just like, I don't think the Paladin can win just because Psychic Scream's a very good card against Galvadon and Linessa and anything the Paladin wants to do. When you have a 9 attack Silverhand Recruit, Psychic Scream turns it back into a 1/1.
Doesn't feel great. All the things that it felt great was not one of them.
Bad. Dreadful.
That would be a good one. Yes, that would be a good word for that.
Abysmal.
I don't think we need to go ahead and hammer this point home. I think we're set.
I don't know that I agree with you there. I think we need some more synonyms, to be honest. This is synonym hour. That's what the post-match interview is for. Oh, so...
Okay, I get it.
So, Edwards, how does it feel to have gone from guest player to full-time player in UHL?
It's fun. Yeah, it's nice to be able to plan everything out, rather than trying to work with other people to figure out, okay, what classes do I want to use? They're still leaves other people classes they want to use. I get to just pick the order myself. So, it's part of why I wanted to use priest this round because
It sucks.
I don't know. Well, because I don't want to play like Mind Blast Priest or something, you know.
Yeah, that is fair. I also used my priest this week as well because I was like, okay, I'm going to use some of the sillier classes this week, so I can just play the really good ones in another week. Just play, and I'm sure I'm going to bring all the bad classes against Storm Rage as well. That's my plan.
I mean, I have to say Malagos Rogue for something anyway. So.
Malagos Rogue?
Yeah, it's a fantastic deck.
I've lost to it many times because I'm invariably playing something which just happens to be slower than Malagos Rogue.
It can sometimes be pretty fast. I killed a Zoo Warlock the turn before they were going to lethal me. It was like turn 6.
Yeah. I always seem to queue into it playing Shudderwock, and it normally goes a lot faster than Shudderwock does.
It can have some insanely fast starts.
Yeah, it's like, oh, turn 7, I'm dead. Cool. This was fun. Good job, everyone. Let's go home now. So, you two, what are like the opponents that you are most looking forward to playing and least looking forward to playing?
I don't know if there's anybody that I'm not looking forward to playing this year. So last year, if you had asked me that, I could have told you a couple of people. But last year I tried to do things like win. Admittedly, I didn't always succeed, but I did try to win and bring like tier 1 decks. And this season, I'm really intent on bringing the fun. And let me be very clear, I did try to win today.
Bring the fun. Bring the fun.
I'm excited to play every single player and see what they can bring and see what I can have fun with. So I guess the only answer would be I'm not excited to play someone that won't play fun decks with me.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing against Hat, given that he's supposed to be undefeated, right?
I am looking forward to obliterating Hat.
So, yeah, it'll be a good time. Hopefully he'll agree with me to do some fun decks beforehand, but we'll see how it goes. I'm kind of willing to go either way, playing fun decks or very competitive, depending on what my opponents agree to. But we didn't even see half of my Hunter and Paladin in this one. The Hunter had Emrys because
we did get to see that on stream. It did come into your hand. It's just that Storm Rage was unfortunately dead by that point.
I was dead pretty quick in that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that mage doesn't have a lot of defensive tools.
Yeah, leaving a Tundra Rhino alive is bad. Also, taking Deck of Wonders was probably not the winning glyph pick.
But
it was a pretty bad matchup, but it could have won in the game.
Yeah, I suppose.
How fun was the pick for Boston?
Well, it didn't do anything, so it wasn't really that fun because you were dead.
It was a little unfortunate that I got 2 Luna's Pocket Gouts. And I was like, well, not great for this matchup.
It would have been so good against like the priest.
Yes.
Yeah, it would have been good against probably most of my other things, to be honest.
Getting like a 1 mana and Antonidas would have been pretty sweet, but it's not so great when you're dead by turn 7.
Yeah, the Hunter's supposed to like get a bunch of Raptors, double their power, and then OTK with like Tundra Rhino and the Raptors.
Didn't even need to use the OTK.
I think we just need to craft the Hunter quest now. I think that Edelweiss proved that it's tier 1.
I think it's tier S.
Yeah, I may have to bring it up against Black Snap because it may bring back some traumatic memories for him since I beat him with it Back when Murloc Paladin was a thing, like
Wow.
it must have been like fall of last year or something.
Oh yeah.
I had hungry crabs in there.
Yeah, that's disgusting. Hu- the hungry crab meta. The hungry crab Galacticrawler meta was not so fun. It's like, do they have some really specific hate card against my deck? If no, win. If yes, lose. I'm gonna see if I can find a meta way to make some of those work against Storm Rage.
Hey now.
I'm
You
gonna
might win.
I'm fully expecting to win anyway, Storm Rage.
Rude.
Shots fired.
Oh! Bring the pain. The only thing that I know for sure I'm doing in any of my upcoming matches is myself and Alkaline have agreed that we're going to start our match with an Odd Warrior mirror.
Oh god, that's so no. Why?
Could you pick a worse thing? No. I'd rather watch paint dry.
Maybe we'll have some paint drying on the side, you know, to just kind of liven it up. Like, I am one of those incredibly weird people. I find Odd Warrior mirrors really interesting and enjoyable.
I mean, they're super technical and they're very difficult to win, and I mess those up a lot, but man, I will choose anything over that as far as watching it goes.
Like, in Hearthstone, fatigue is my idea of fun. I'm that guy.
My favorite deck ever was Fatigue Mage.
I didn't ever actually play that. But, like, the first deck I ever, like, really kind of loved was just Control Warrior. Justicar, tank up. So, and now you get to tank up without playing Justicar. It's amazing.
See, I didn't quite have the things for Wallet Warrior before.
Yeah,
Or like very early on. So, but Fatigue Mage was just like you got your ice blocks, you got your Death Lords, you had duplicates as your secrets, and then Sludge Belchers. I forget if Echo of Medivh was out or not, but yeah, you would just make a bunch of Death Lords, pull things out of their deck, and
yeah.
then
I think Wallet Warrior was like the first expensive deck I ever played because like I saved up dust for a long time because I was just like I just really want to play this deck. I just didn't craft anything for pretty much ever, and then I was like, yes, I could finally play it. And then I was very happy for a long time, and then it died for a long, long time. I'd almost forgotten what playing Warrior was like that didn't have pirates. Though I did enjoy Pirate Warrior a lot.
Pirate Warrior is the best deck that has ever existed. Fight me.
No, I will. I was playing Goya Shaman during that era.
Well, I think I've got to get going, guys. Unless there are any other dying questions that you need to ask us, Robobson.
On a scale of 1 to 10.
You didn't actually have a question, did you?
No. So let's leave it at that.
On a scale of 1 to 10. Bye!
Well, thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Robobson, for casting and advice. Thank you for being such a fun opponent as always. I always love playing with you, and it was very exciting to be able to finally beat you with that dang Exodia Mage that beat me the first time.
And it did even win a game.
Was I running Quest when I beat you before?
No, you did it the normal way, like the better way. So
Oh, just Exodia.
Yes.
I mean, you did have both the Exodia method and the Quest method in your deck.
That's correct.
You know, just in case one goes wrong. Like, say, you Simulacrum the wrong thing.
Look, things happen. Things happen and they go badly.
It's okay. The leyline manipulators can reduce the produced spells for your quest.
It's
Yeah.
true.
or
And
just
I also
you make a
activate his activators for the spellstone.
Yep. Or you can just reduce the make a hand of fireballs and then reduce them. 0 cost fireballs. The best kind of fireball. But yeah, thank you both for coming on and joining me, and best of luck with the rest of your matches, and I look forward to playing both of you.
Alright, thank you very much. You guys have a good one. Peace and love.
You too. Shabbat
Bye
shalom.
bye. So, with that, we have got a 3-1 victory to Edelweiss, and I am going to leave the stream at that. Thank you everyone who tuned in. I know it's a pretty awkward time to be watching the stream. And peace out. The next match we have for you today is going to be... it's going to be Earl versus Zoroshio, and I believe that is going to happen at 7 PM Eastern Time, so in just a few hours on this very same channel. So tune in for that. We're going to have I think it is Brasky and Wicked Good going to be casting, so it's going to be a good one. There will even be 2 people. So thank you, have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you then.